clock out.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Gulf Shores City Council Work Session meeting, May 5th. Appreciate you being here. This is the meeting where we'll be going over the stuff we'll be voting on next Monday, and it's your opportunity to give us your input, your thoughts, ask any questions, but give us feedback. That's why we do this a week in advance, so we've got time to consider your thoughts before we make a decision. So with that, I'll get started. City Clerk, Toby, you got a couple things for us.
You gonna skip me, Mayor?
Oh, Jason Dyke.
I don't, but I appreciate you not skipping.
But then I knew that, so I didn't call on you. So,
But thank you for the opportunity, though. I'll pass tonight.
okay. All right, Jason. You want to take the meeting from here? You can?
I might.
I know you could. So, Toby, moving on.
Yes, sir. Okay. After applications were received and reviewed, the following appointments will be made. Board appointments. Andrew Hart will be filling the unexpired term of Jared Myers, who resigned his position. This term will expire on March 28th, 2026. Andy Bauer and Matt Young will be reappointed to serve a full term of 4 years on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I don't think I said what Andrew Hart was being appointed to. Public Park and Recreation Board, sorry. David Stewart is being reappointed to the Board of Zoning Adjustments to a full term of 3 years ending on March 11th, 2028. And Edgar McGee is being reappointed to serve a full term of 6 years to the Airport Authority ending on March 11th, 2031.
Thank you, Toby. Any questions or comments from anybody on these board appointments? Got one more?
Yes, sir. The municipal election is scheduled for August 26, 2025. And in order for us to use electronic vote counting systems, we have to adopt an ordinance stating which machines we'll be using and then file it with the Secretary of State. So I will have ordinance next week adopting 2 machines to be used, one for regular voting, and then we have a machine called Express Vote for ADA voting. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Toby. Any questions from anybody? Thank you, Toby.
Yes, sir.
Clint, you got a couple things for us on our capital projects department?
Yes, sir. The first one I've got is the construction contract for the East First Street Improvements Project. And this is the same one that we came in a couple weeks ago for the CE&I. But so we opened bids last week. And L&K Construction had the lowest bid. We recommend approving in an amount not to exceed $849,000. And we did open bids on the 24th. We had 5 bids, and L&K was the lowest in the amount of $826,000. But since it's unit pricing, we had $849 in the budget, so we'd rather go ahead and award in case we have any overages. And so this is the project that includes the improvements to East First Street, which are enclosing the drainage on the east side to allow for the installation of sidewalks and approximately 1,300 feet of new sidewalks to connect the pedestrians here to the nearby schools, shops, restaurants, and churches, and then overlaying the asphalt on the existing street after we're done. And again, here's that map. So it's going from 16th Avenue to 20th Avenue. And it's going to be on the east side there in front of the apartments. And so this is budgeted in this year's budget. And so the total cost of the project is just over $1 million. The TAP grant is providing $800,000, and the city is responsible for the match of $209,000. So staff recommends awarding the contract to L&K in an amount not to exceed $849,000. And I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Clint, council, any questions, comments?
I have just one. Forgive me for not remembering, has L&K done any work for us before?
Yes, they've been subcontractors on a lot of projects. Trying to think that they've done a little bit of work on Waterway East for ASI. They've done some smaller sidewalk projects. This is probably the biggest one directly to L&K that we've had before, but they do a good bit of work around here. So.
Okay, thank you. I'm just a little nervous after what happened to us on Highway 59. This is a big project.
It's not that contractor.
This is a big deal on this side of town, and I would like to make sure that one gets done right and finished on time is all. Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody in the audience with any questions or comments? Okay, Clint?
All right, the next one I've got is to apply for a fiscal year 2026 TAP grant. And so this is to authorize the Capital Projects Department to pursue another TAP grant for next year and to commit to providing the required matching funds if awarded. And the deadline to submit for next year's round of grants is the end of this month. And the project that we are proposing is on West Beach Boulevard, and it's going to be a construction of a 10-foot wide concrete sidewalk / multi-use path on the north side of West Beach Boulevard, which would be detached from the travel lane. So, out there now where we only have bike lanes that are right on the side of the travel lane, this would be detached closer to the edge of right-of-way. And so this would begin just past where West Lagoon splits off and go all the way to West 11th Street. And this would improve pedestrian access down West Beach and give the people on the north side of the road, they can walk on a sidewalk or bike, since it's 10 foot wide, and get to beach access, either at 6th Street or at 10th Street. And so this is the map that Civil Southeast did for us. So as you can see, the blue there are where we have existing sidewalks or bike paths. And so the red is what we would be proposing in this project. And then the green along West 11th Street, we're going to plan to bid that as an alternate. So if the numbers come in right, we could tie that into the West Lagoon Avenue bike path. And the total estimated cost of this would be just over $1 million, similar to the East First Street project. And same deal, if awarded, the grant would provide $800,000 in funding with a city match of $210,000. And this would need to be included in next year's budget if awarded. We'd probably find out in the fall, and by the time you get through permitting and everything, it wouldn't be awarded until next year, or wouldn't be really starting until next year. So staff recommends authorizing Civil Southeast to submit the TAP application on the city's behalf and committing to providing the matching funds next year. And I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Clint. Council questions?
Clint, will this take the place of the existing bike path, or is it, they'll be able to move over to this?
Yeah, we would leave the existing bike path there. So this would be basically as far away from the asphalt as we could get, so up closer to the right-of-way line. There would be a few light poles and things we might have to kind of weave around, and some utilities and stuff, but this would be separated. We should be able to have a clear space of about 10 feet between asphalt and the concrete
Okay.
in most places.
Anybody in the audience, any questions or comments? Thank you, Clint. Jenny, Engineering Department?
This one is to accept Raleigh Farms Phase 2 roadways. The roadways were completed in 2023, and we have inspected those roads and found them to meet all of our standards. So the 2-year waiting period has been fulfilled, as well as the 50% lot occupancy rate. Again, Raleigh Farms Phase 2, you can see on this map, is just about halfway between Highway 59 and the Foley Beach Express on the north side of Coastal Gateway Boulevard. And it includes a portion of Preston Way, a portion of Parkerman Avenue, as well as Winters Avenue and Camp Street.
Thank you, Jenny. Council, any questions or comments? Audience, anybody? Anything? Thank you, Jenny. Planning and zoning, we got 2 people, Scott and Andy will be doing this category.
Yes, sir. Agenda item 5A is a conditional use permit application for the water tank at the high school site. Your maps here, the one on the left is a smaller scale, just kind of showing the general area. It's south of the high school site. The one in the middle just is a closer shot of the proposed area, and the one on the right shows the zoning. That blue shade is educational district zoning. We did notice the public prior to the planning commission meeting. So the current site is just east of Craft Craft Farms North. And west of Foley Beach Express on the other side is City of Orange Beach. To the north is the new high school building, and then to the south is wooded area. This is a rendering of the proposed site. So our viewpoint, we're hovering over Craft Farms North and looking toward the northeast, and you can see the proposed water tower there in the background. The plan on the left was what was originally submitted to staff prior to the Planning Commission meeting. On the right it was revised to modify the driveway access so as not to cause any future conflicts with potential sports fields and other educational facilities. So the site plan, as you can see, it's a 45-acre site, so there's more than adequate room. The tank itself will be 140 feet tall, and it is very far away from all the minimum setbacks. The site access is a 12-foot today. Well, in the future, near future, will be a temporary gravel access from the existing dry that's out there. At the end of the project, Gulf Shores Utilities will supply a formal survey so the city can turn around and give a permanent easement for access. This is an elevation view of the water tower. There is landscaping to comply with the zoning ordinance on site, as well as a privacy fence. There are a number of protected trees that may be removed, but it will be in compliance with the tree protection ordinance. This is a more detailed view. So the privacy fence will be standard wooden slat, 6 foot tall, but there will also be decorative brick columns as part of it, and well landscaped. The conditional use permit analysis has 14 factors. As a quick summary on the right, they have received or in the process of receiving state and federal permits. The tank is compatible with the goals of the surrounding area or the city as a whole. They will not be diminishing or don't anticipate any diminishing of natural environment. And it will be placed in such a location to limit the impacts on the surrounding areas. About 1,000 feet from Craft Farms, 600 feet from Foley Beach Express, and then to the south will remain wooded. Part of the conditional use permit is, again, the underlying zoning is educational district, and essential service facilities are a CUP allowed use in the educational district zoning. So we looked at that again, locate the water tank to maximize the distance from adjacent businesses and minimize the visibility as much as possible. Keeping in mind is 140 foot tall, but the base is as far away as possible. City staff, including the engineering department and fire marshal's office, have reviewed. There will be some exterior lighting along the base of the property, and the FAA has reviewed, determined that obstruction lighting is not required. However, if they desire to place the lighting, there are FAA requirements to follow. Staff and the Planning Commission both recommend approval. Part of the Planning Commission's conditions of approval include coordinating with the city and the school system on the branding, the colors, and any kind of logo that's on there, finishing up any 8M permitting. And we'll continue to work with them just to make sure any disturbed area is kept to the minimum. And they will be paving the driveway from the existing paved drive to below the wetland area. And then the rest will remain gravel. That is the end of my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on this application?
I didn't understand, did you say the FAA did require lighting or did?
No, sir, that it is not required. However, if they do put lighting on the top, it'll have to follow FAA guidelines.
Okay.
By the honor, we have some members of the utility board here. If there are any specific questions the utility needs and opportunity, Rhonda's here, Davidson, Rhonda. Yeah, okay, Rhonda's here.
And I will point out this, you will not see this on next week's agenda. We have to do some minimum advertising, so it may be on into June before you see it again.
Okay. Andy, you got a CUP plan for MediaCom?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. So the next couple items I will be presenting. The first one is ZA 2464. It's a site plan conditional use permit application for an expansion to the MediaCom building. MediaCom is currently located at 2320 East 2nd Street, and they propose to add a 973 square foot addition to the existing building. The applicant does seek a couple modifications from the strict compliance from the underlying and overlay zoning district standards. Therefore, a conditional use permit is required. I think all of you know where MediaCom is. It's on the east side of town on East 2nd Street. The diagram on the right is a blow up of the location. Here are a few existing photographs of the MediaCom building. It'll be vastly improved after this, if this site plan CUP is approved. Underlying zoning is general business. Office uses are allowed by right. Overlay zoning is the site is within the Waterway Village Overlay District and in the T5 Neighborhood Commercial Subdistrict. So the proposed office use also is allowed in the T5 Neighborhood Commercial Subdistrict. Future land use plan designates this parcel's future land use as commercial and mixed use. And then the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of this application at their January 25th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. So the proposed site plan, the existing building is in brown. The proposed 973 square foot addition is in brown with highlighted with yellow. The green area is a lot of the green area to the front and to the kind of lower part of the existing building is currently asphalt. All that will be removed and become landscape space. The green area behind the building is kind of existing dirt / landscape space. You will see the parking that's proposed will be out within the East 2nd Street right-of-way. And let's see, it complies with all of the minimum landscape requirements, parking requirements, bicycle parking requirements. The proposed addition will be 1 story, complies with the building coverage and maximum impervious coverage standards. So the couple deviations that they're requesting are, as you all will recall, in the Waterway Village Overlay District, the setbacks are very minimal. So the front setback is a 0 feet minimum, 5 feet maximum. The existing building is at 24 feet. So that is one reason they need a conditional use permit to keep the existing building where it is. The proposed rear setback is 48 feet, so that complies. And then the interior side yard setbacks in the Waterway Village Overlay District are 0 feet minimum and 0 feet maximum. The existing building is 0 feet on the north side yard setback, but the new proposed building will be 4 feet off of the south side yard setback. So that's another reason they'll need a conditional use permit. The garbage containers are stored behind the building, and a concrete sidewalk has been shown or provided as a way to roll the trash containers out to the public right-of-way for pickup. Proposed addition to the building, right now it's proposed to be hardy board and batten siding. There is a condition in our recommendation because this is an older building, and we want to make sure that the proposed architecture does not detract from the existing older building. So we place a condition in there that some of the architecture could change based on our review of the older building versus the proposed building, as well as some of the historic architectural regulations that actually Scott has a lot of experience with in some of his former jobs. So we're still working with the applicant. They agree to make sure that the architecture does not detract from the existing building. Proposed addition will have basically 4 offices and a larger office space. And then you've got the existing building has a lobby and a break room in it. So again, access and parking, the area in front of the building will be utilized for the 6 on-street parking spaces. The applicant has provided an engineer's estimate and an amount of just over $38,000 or close to $39,000 for the construction of the angled parking, sidewalks, and landscape planter strip. So as you know, we have kind of a design for the on-street parking along East 2nd Street. They are not constructing it per the city's design yet, but they're paying a fee in lieu so that we can take their money and construct it all at one time whenever we get to that point. But they will utilize the East 2nd Street right-of-way for this required 6 on-street parking spaces. Similar to what we did at Galway House, they utilized some of the existing parking within the right-of-way for their required parking. Landscaping and tree protection, there are 6 existing trees on the site, including 2 12-inch live oak trees. All those trees will be preserved. They've actually earned 13 tree credits by preservation of the trees. The landscape and open space, the Waterway Village District does not require the normal landscape standards. It only requires parking lot landscape standards. So the applicant actually exceeds the minimum requirements. They provided a substantial amount of landscaping between the on-street parking and the existing building, which should help greatly enhance the looks of the building. Instead of having kind of a sea of asphalt in front of the building, now it'll be a nice landscape space there. Site improvements, grading and drainage plans, exterior lighting, trash collection have all been reviewed and approved. And the fire marshal and engineering department have reviewed and approved the site plan. Conditional use permit. Again, they seek a couple deviations from the underlying zoning standards. So they request 1 modification to Article 13-5, alteration of non-conforming structures, to allow a new addition in the continued use of the existing building and premises. Here's an older picture of the the MediaCom building. So this section states that no alteration or enlargement of a non-conforming structure shall be allowed unless a modification conforms to the area and dimensional requirements of the applicable zoning district. The proposed modification or new construction complies with all the zoning requirements except for the 2 setback deviations that I pointed out previously. The front setback, the existing building is 24 feet, and the minimum standards are 0 feet minimum, 5 feet maximum, and then the south side yard setback proposed is 4 feet, and the minimum is 0 feet. So they seek a deviation to those couple of setback regulations. City staff does support the applicant's request. This building was constructed in 1961. It's one of the older commercial buildings in the city. This, I believe, was the original post office. I know it was a post office at one point in time, so we would like to preserve the kind of historical character of this building. This complies with the purpose of the Waterway Village Overlay District, so we do recommend or support those deviation requests. So with that, staff and the Planning Commission recommend approval of this application with 4 conditions. Grant a modification to 13-5 to allow the applicant to utilize and add on to the existing building. Number 2, the wall pack light fixtures shall be full cutoff fixtures. Number 3, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall pay a $38,885 fee in lieu instead of constructing the angled parking, sidewalks, and landscape planters within the East 2nd Street right-of-way. And then number 4, the applicant shall work with the city to preserve the historical architectural character of the building. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and much like the previous application, we'll have to advertise this before it can be placed on a city council agenda, so it'll probably be late May or early June.
The exterior application of the new building, will it be modeled to match the old building, or will all of that, how's that spoken?
So my understanding, it can't completely match the older portion of the building because they want to make, or we understand kind of historical regulations is they want to make sure the historical nature of the building is preserved, but we just want to make sure it's not completely different. And Scott can help me with that because is that basically what they say? Is he's actually, in his old job, they had some historic districts and they had to apply historical regulations, so.
We've not had many of those
We do-
here.
we do
Since
not.
I've been mayor, so it's kind of a new process for me.
Right, me too, Mayor. We just want to make sure it's not, the character mirrors the existing building, but does not, doesn't look like it's a completely different building or detract from the existing building.
Any other questions, council?
Andy, could you go back to that last slide on, explain number 3 to me again?
For the condition?
Yeah,
This one.
yeah,
So,
the fee in lieu.
So we do this a lot on, when there's not an existing sidewalk within a public right-of-way. So the zoning regulations state that the applicant has the option to build a new sidewalk in accordance with our master bicycle and pedestrian plan, and the zoning ordinance, or they can pay a fee in lieu. Because there's no existing sidewalks in this location, and the city's about to go through a streetscaping, hopefully, construction in front of this site, we recommended that the applicant pay a fee in lieu. So they give us an engineer's estimate for how much the sidewalk would cost, the parking. In this instance, landscape planners, that came out to be $38,000. So they're going to pay a fee instead of constructing
Okay, that's
those
all I was
improvements.
curious about the planners and whatnot, so all that's.
All that's within the public,
consideration, Yeah. in
within the
right-
East Second Street public right-of-way.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
And one other question, on the setbacks, can you go back to that slide? Couple,
Certainly.
right, yeah. What does that mean, 0 and 0 for the side?
So that means that in the Waterway Village Overlay District, in a lot of the sub-districts, the building should take up the entire width of the property.
So if someone would, or they have to build to the entire width of the property?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
So the idea in the Waterway Village District is kind of create a downtown building form like you may see, and I'm going to use Fairhope. Downtown Fairhope, all the buildings are attached to
Yeah,
one
the
another.
wall-
There's
yeah, all-
lots,
okay.
their own lots, but they're all attached to one another so that they're built out 100% of the lot width, and the parking's usually in the street. I think there's some places in Fairhope have little alleys where you can get to service, the garbage and deliveries and things of that nature. So that's the idea of this district, but when there's existing buildings there, it doesn't always work.
Yeah, obviously, it's not gonna work.
Right.
That's, anyway, probably people at home watching it aren't familiar with.
Yes, sir.
all this, so. That's it. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate the importance, I think the value of this end product, the aesthetics of how this building gets designed and finished out. I know we have a provision for preservation of historic buildings, but every old building in town to me doesn't have historic value worth preserving and adding on to. And I'm not saying anything about this building, this particular building, but every old building doesn't qualify. So to make a new building look like an old building that maybe doesn't qualify. So my point is, I think it's really important. I think they're almost doubling the size of this building with the addition that they're wanting to do. So now is the opportunity to make sure that this complements the walking district and the waterway overlay district over there, and just encourage you not to stop shy of getting that how that needs to be.
Well put.
Fair enough.
Anybody in the audience, any questions or comments? Scott, you got an annexation? Or
I've
Andy,
got
you-
one more.
You got it? Okay, I'm sorry.
Next application is ZA 2502 Muley property rezoning. The applicant requests to rezone 2.37 acres of property located at 19710 West 36th Avenue from R1-4 Single Family Residential to Neighborhood Business. Location maps on the screen. The blue, the property outlined in blue shows is the subject property. diagram on the left shows that it's located on West 36th Avenue, just kind of almost not quite directly south of the intersection of West 36th Avenue and North Shore Street. You see a zoomed in version in the middle of the screen. The right-hand side shows the existing R14 zoning, as well as surrounded to the south by PUD and then BA zoning and some unzoned, oddly enough, some unzoned property across the street. Existing conditions, the property currently contains a single-family house and a couple accessory buildings. Surrounding zoning and land uses to the north, again, directly north is unzoned Baldwin County. And further to the north, you've got some BA arterial business zoning. It's occupied by Ike's Beach Service warehouse for Ike. To the south is vacant wooded land. It's part of the Lake Planned Unit Development. Directly east is also part of the Lake PUD Development's vacant land. Further to the east is zoned arterial business. It's occupied by the Hangout warehouses. And then to the west is vacant land, which is part of the Lake Planned Unit Development. A little bit further is Seagrove Apartments. A couple of photographs of the existing conditions. You see the house and some of the accessory buildings on the site. Here's some of the surrounding properties. Directly, the left-hand photograph is directly across the street, vacant. And then middle top is the intersection of West 36th and North Shore Street. To the top right is vacant land, and then the single-family houses that are within, forget the name of that subdivision, it's a little bit to the west or northwest. And then the bottom left is the looking east down West 36th Avenue, and you see the Hangout warehouse in the kind of the foreground there. At the March Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission voted 5-1 with one commissioner abstaining to recommend approval of this application to the City Council. So the existing zoning, again, it's R14, medium density single family. This district exists for the development or preservation of existing single family houses. The requested zoning is neighborhood business district. The neighborhood business district is intended to provide a transitional buffer between commercial activities in nearby residential neighborhoods. Non-residential uses are limited to those that can be compatible with the residential character of adjacent neighborhoods. So what that in the neighborhood business zoning district, well, number one, the permissible commercial uses are greatly restricted to only those that are pretty much compatible with housing. And then also any commercial use greater than 5,000 square feet must go through the CUP process. That's the only way they're allowed. Future land use plan designates this property's future land use as mixed use commercial. As you all know, mixed use is encouraged in the land use plan. Mixed use may be one development or one building with like commercial on the bottom and residential on the top, or it could be horizontal spread across the land with a commercial building and then residential buildings on the same property. This is a fairly small property, 2.37 acres, so it'd probably hard to do a lot of horizontal mixed use. And then mixed use centers are also located within or adjacent to activity centers. This is relatively close to State Highway 59 and West 36th Avenue intersection. There's the site. So under the analysis portion, the property is located at the intersection of West 36th Avenue and North Shore Street. This has become a lot more of a primary route for the residents within Aventura and kind of a cut-through route for, I think, citizens going to kind of getting around, dodging the traffic on Highway 59 and going towards Oak Road West. The surrounding area is a mix of commercial uses. The Highland subdivision, warehouses, and vacant wooded land associated with the Lake PUD. The land use plan encourages mixed use. We believe that the rezoning of this property to neighborhood business would support the mixed use development goals of the future land use plan. The neighborhood business district is intended to provide a transitional buffer between commercial uses and residential neighborhoods. Where this property is situated, it's kind of located right now between commercial uses to the east and residential uses further to the west. Again, the commercial uses are greatly limited in the BN zoning district. And we believe the configuration of this and use of the property aligns with the goals of the neighborhood business zoning district. And with that, staff and the planning commission support the requested rezoning and recommend the city council approve the application. And again, this application, since it's a rezoning request, will have to be publicly noticed, will not be heard at next week's agenda, probably either late May or June. Be happy to answer any questions.
Will you go back to the analysis slide?
Yes, sir.
You refer to the vacant wooded land in that top paragraph, and you say Lake PUD. So the vacant wooded land won't be, it's part of the PUD, so that's residential housing?
Yes, sir. So directly, I guess, surrounding on the Lake PUD master plans designates all the areas surrounding this subject property as, I think, multifamily residential in the future. There is no site plan approved for that section of the PUD yet, but I think it's designated multifamily residential.
And so what the plan that they have, in your opinion, is compatible with that use?
Yes. The neighborhood business zoning, in our opinion, is compatible with that use. Yes, sir.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you. Anybody else, council, have any questions, comments?
Comment, and I was the one opposing vote at the planning commission, and just so my position is clear, my opinion, it's an older property, it needs to be redeveloped. It's highly unlikely that it redevelops residentially with the BA zoning around it. So I was in support of commercial zoning, but the neighborhood business zoning also allows for 10 units per acre in multifamily. That was the part of the BN that I was opposed to. It adds 23 more units, not a huge number, but I think the lake property has 600 or 700 dwelling units entitled on that piece of property alone. So I was opposed to the multifamily component of the BN, not the commercial side. So just for clarity of why I voted no then. But
And I assume there's no way to differentiate those with the zoning like it is?
we have done zoning in the past where we've restricted certain uses out of zoning classification, a self-imposed restriction. So could get the BN zoning, and I asked the applicant that night, would they entertain the BN zoning without the multifamily component? And that was not something they wanted to entertain at planning commission. But anyway, it's just my comments, my nay vote that night.
And Councilman Harris is correct. Conditional zoning is allowed by the zoning ordinance. So if the city council wants to place specific conditions on a zoning, it is allowed.
If there was concern for that multifamily use, that 23 units per this site plan, do we have any other ability to regulate the intensity of that property if it's zoned neighborhood business?
So without placing any conditions on it, neighborhood business allows 10 units per acre. The maximum they could get there is 23 units. They would have to, any multifamily development would have to follow the relatively new multifamily regulations in Article 1121 of the zoning ordinance. I think two different building types would have to be on the property, 2 different types of open spaces, a couple of different types of amenities, blocks and streets. So I don't know if you could get 23 units, but that is a maximum that is allowed there. So there will be another process to go through with additional regulations to build multifamily there. I can't tell you exactly what you could get, but it would probably be challenging to get the maximum potential there.
Would that have to go through site plan approval, correct?
Go through site plan approval, yes, sir.
Would that come to the council, or would that be just the planning commission?
So as long as they complied with all of the regulations within the multifamily zoning that specific section of the zoning ordinance, they would go to planning commission. If they requested any deviations, then it says you have to go through the conditional use permit process.
Okay. That's what,
My guess is they'd have to request deviations. The multifamily standards are very strict, and I think they'd be difficult to meet all of them on this small property. But again, I can't tell you 100%.
good enough. Thank you.
Philip, your concern for the 23 units there, was that because the lake property isn't zoned for that density?
No, the lake property is zoned, I think, for more than, I think they ended up with close to 15 units an acre in their plan. I don't know. My opposition is just related to adding multifamily density in the commercial zoning over there.
Oh, okay.
Because we already have, Andy, you may know the number of approved units in the lake PUD, but I think it was close to 700 or 800 units.
I don't know 100%. I can get you guys that answer though, because they've made several PUD modifications, and I don't want to guess and be wrong, but I can get that information for you quickly.
Any other council questions? Audience, anybody? I know one of the applicants here. I don't know if you want to say anything, Ms. Mealy, or not. Not to put you on the spot, I'm sorry. But anybody else with any questions or comments? Now, Scott.
Good afternoon again. Agenda item 5D is an annexation request. So it's lot 1 of the River Pine subdivision on Skiff Lane. The application states that the reason for the request is for city benefits and city schools. So your map here on the left, it shows the entire River Pine subdivision between County Road 6 and the river. The map on the right just shows a closer shot. There's an existing single-family structure, a house, on the site. This map is probably a little easier to read. It's the zoning map, so the shaded areas are inside the city limits today. So the yellow is R14, single-family residential. So you'll see the site is contiguous to existing city limits. And then across the street, that green is city-owned property that's zoned for open space. So two sides, you have the contiguity. Well, that's my last slide. That's in the report. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Council, any questions, comments? Anybody? Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Grant?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. So we have before you today an assembly permit application. This is Lulu's Presents Doc's Hot Trot for ADC, ARC, requesting June 14th, 2025. This is a long-standing 5K and 1 mile fun run that takes place in and around Lulu's, and they run through Commerce Park, and I'll show you the map in just a second. June 14th, 2025, which is a Saturday. Dennis Young, who I spoke to earlier today, is representing Robert Still Rotary Club Foundation to benefit the ARC, Retired Citizens of Baldwin County. It's a 5K and a 1 mile fun run, anywhere from 250 to 500 participants, but all the pre and post activities take place at Lulu's. So Lulu's is a big partner with Robert Still Rotary Club. So before you is the standard approved route that is an actual defined race route that allows the participants to qualify for other types of runs. The start finish is at Lulu's, and it runs out Waterway East and then runs through Commerce Loop, then back to Lulu's. We will be having some construction during this time of the month of June. So Clint, with our Capital Projects Department, has proposed an alternate route where in green on your map, they would run north out of Lulu's up to East 28th Avenue, then east over to 2nd, then south to Waterway East, and then roll into the rest of the race route. We are recommending approval of this application. We will work with the applicant and the contractor, and the city will make the final determination on what route is the best. for accommodating the construction that's going on Waterway East, in and around Commerce Loop. Of course, we've got the airport that is now having commercial flight service, and so this whole area is becoming busier and more used. So we will work to make sure that this is not an inconvenience to anybody. And I have talked to Mr. Young too about looking for an alternate location for this run for the future when this area really gets rolling after this June 14th. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
They trying to meet a certain certified distance?
They
like
are, yes, sir.
5K?
They'll remeasure what the route is that they end up with, but they are trying to meet a certified race certification. Yes, sir.
It's a 5K.
It's a 5K and a 1 mile fun run too. Yeah.
Any other questions, council? Comments? Anybody in the audience? Anything? Grant?
Thank you.
That concludes the agenda for new projects. Clint, you got an update for us on the status of Highway 59?
Yes, sir. So the plan is currently for Wednesday night to do some restriping between 19th and 20th, right here in front of the Circle K and Blaylocks, so that we can restripe that new section up next to the median and get traffic shifted over. Of course, there is rain scheduled some this week, so that may get pushed a day or two. But so we'll get that out before that happens. But we will have some, one lane will be closed while they're doing striping. And they've got to do a little bit of striping on the northbound side of the median also, just where the new turn lane is to get rid of the old yellow. And then I'm sure everybody's noticed when you come over the bridge, the new right lane is pretty bumpy. And they are actually going to repave that and get all those bumps out, the whole new lane. And so that is currently scheduled to happen first of next week. But again, we'll get that out for everybody. But so once they do that and get the permanent striping down, we will be done south of the bridge. So before the music festival, unless weather hurts us, we will be done south of the bridge, and then we'll be moved north.
And all the cones and barrels are gone.
They will be.
That's what I'm saying.
When do they plan to overlay that? Because I hope that's not the finished product. I know the striping, you say permanent striping, that scares me because that road's even though it's an improvement with the width and the lanes, it's really quality of that pavement is
So
poor.
the new lane on the right-hand side, they're going to overlay that entire thing next week. But now we're not, south of the bridge, we're not overlaying the whole project because AlDOT has it scheduled to do next year. They're repaving everything south of the bridge. Now, once we move north, we are overlaying the entire southbound thing. But south of the bridge, we're just doing the one new lane.
When we say next year, do we mean January of next year or December of next year? Because that's
July.
It's
July 4th? July 4th weekend?
It's AlDOT's timeline, so that's possible.
Be nice to get the money from them to add it to this contract and do it while the cones are out and not have to bring the cones back.
That makes too much
Mayor?
sense.
That makes too much sense.
Mayor?
That makes too much sense. Pull without it. Not much there, so. Any questions on any of that?
What's the city gonna do with all our pretty orange cones that we've been having for 2 years?
I don't know.
I thought they could replace the turtle statue since we got so many of them.
We got plenty of them, that's for sure. That's the reason I was asking about getting rid of them, so.
Do you want them, Tony? Do you want them? No, I got enough while I
Okay, that ends all the new business unless any of our staff has got any updates they want to present. School, anything?
Yield my time to the gentlewoman from the left.
Wisely said.
Good afternoon. I have 4 quick announcements I want to make. Number one, Dr. Aiken is not here tonight because he is in Montgomery accepting a state award for Gulf Shores Middle School. The middle school received the Class Banner School of Distinction Award today for the Science by the Shore curriculum program. And that's our science program where we take the kids outside to learn about science and our environment. So they were one of 8 schools in the state to receive the Class Distinction Award. That's exciting. On Wednesday, we have 2 of our teachers going to Montgomery to be recognized. Our middle school teacher and our elementary school teacher, Teachers of the Year, were both recognized by the state as being members of the Sweet 16. So only 16 teachers across the state receive this award, and they'll be recognized on Wednesday. Also, Wednesday of this week is our Bike to School Day, organized by Andy Bauer and, of course, supported by the police department. So we appreciate their support. We will have lots and lots of students, I believe, riding to school from either Sims Park or Meyer Park. And then a reminder about graduation. It is May 19th at 7 o'clock at the Wharf. We have about 190 seniors graduating, and they have already earned in excess of $12 million in scholarships. So we are very excited for them.
A great report all the way around.
Thank you.
Very much.
That's
very
Thank
much.
you.
Congratulations. And things like that don't just happen. It took a lot of hard work, and I know it. So, thank you. Anyone with any questions or comments like to approach council? Yes, Angie, please.
I wanted to ask a question. I sent an email earlier. I don't know if everyone has had an opportunity to read it or not, but we met with Chuck Owen, our city arborist, about 3 weeks ago, and we were interested in the property that we own on Canal Road there, the 301 East Canal. We also own the lots that are across the street there on the water side, and I understand that there's an easement there from the street and then an easement from the core, so we kind of have the lots in between. And we were interested in cutting the brush on those lots. And we met with Chuck. We wanted to make sure that, that he knew exactly what we were trying to do. We didn't want to, do anything without someone knowing. Not interested in cutting any trees. We absolutely want all the trees there. But there is a lot of brush there. There's vines. It's been overgrown for years and years. People have gone down there. It's starting to become hazardous. People are going down there and fishing, and there's trash down there. And it's pretty steep there. I'm afraid someone could get hurt there, and I don't, us be liable for that or the city be liable for that. So we met with Chuck, explained to him what we wanted to do. He spoke to, I'm not sure, I think they did a presentation maybe to John, and I did reach out to John, but I didn't realize he was going to be on vacation for a couple weeks. So since we had made the decision and met with Chuck, they put the guardrails there. So now I know it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get equipment there, because now we have to either go to the side or around the guardrail to try to get the property cleaned up. So we think it's in the best interest of the city and us, state, to try to clean that area up. We're willing to do it on our nickel. We're not asking the city to do it. We were going to take it upon ourselves to do it. But we also want to do it before the development gets too far there, so that, we don't want to get in the way of the bridge company as they're trying to do their work as well. So we were kind of given a no. John, through Chuck, told us that that we could not do it. I don't understand why. I tried to reach out to John to find out, but he's on vacation. So I just wanted to appeal to the council here. I don't know if there's a particular reason why we can't do it. Again, we're not cutting any trees. We're not, it's nothing we would need a tree permit for. We just want to get the vines and some of the small brush out of there. So I would appreciate it if you could take that into consideration.
Is that just north of the building there, or north of the road, between the
North of
road
the
and the
road.
canal?
Right, on the canal side, north of the road.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at it. I have not been over there, so I haven't gone past the barricade to get up there and see what they're doing. So
It would just be nice. We'd like to clean it up, and we're not asking anybody else to do it. We'll be happy to, it's gonna be costly, probably cost us about 10 grand to get that cleaned up, but we're willing to do it. But we didn't want to overstep and do it without the city knowing, since it's part of that is city property.
How much front footage there is it on the canal? Like, say it costs 10 grand, that's,
About 100 or better foot. At least 100 or better.
So
It
the
would be
city owns from the
To clean it
road
up,
to-
it would be consistent with everything else along that area.
Right,
be-
because, it's not like it would hurt anything. It's cleared all the way down Canal.
Right.
So we want to just clean it up and make it pretty like it is down there, and have a nice water view, and we wanted to do it now so that it's not hard to get in there after the improvements are all made. And, we're going to maintain it, we'll keep it up, but we just wanted to address it and try to work on that.
well, there's no traffic there now.
we also need to find out why our folks think no. I don't know why they
Right.
would say no. I don't have any idea why they would say no. So, but that's a question we're gonna have to dig into a little bit and then take a look at it.
Because Chuck thought it was a good idea. He didn't see any problems there. There are actually some trees there that are, that are problem trees, some small stuff that he preferred we take out while we were doing it. And we talked about that. We actually asked him, he met us there on site. So we asked him to come, be on site, show us what you want taken out. We'll do it while we're there. But it's a mess there, and it's starting to gather trash and debris down there that I'm sure eventually is going to end up in the intercoastal. So we don't want that either. So
Well, thank you, Angie. We'll
Sure.
take a look at it. Anybody else? Appreciate you. Yes.
Any update on for, to buy my home, the highway, it's still just gonna be one way?
Yeah, it's still gonna be one way. There's no change in, yeah, it's one way, it's a one-way loop, and I think my feeling is it will be that way until there's a new ALDOT director, which will probably means their new governor. So what we got coming, and we've just determined there's no, you can beat your head against that wall. That's not changing. So.
Okay, cause I got a court thing going on now because of that road. I was just gonna see if the city heard anything before this goes any further.
We have not heard anything beyond what we have heard before. Anybody else? Anything? We'll be voting on these and revisiting these Monday. You're welcome to come back and join us. We hope you will. Thank you. We stand adjourned.